What's up guys, Pawan here, and this right here we have the PS5 finally in the channel. Let's begin the video. Alright guys, so it's been almost like 2 years since the PS5 was launched. Still, getting your hands on this thing is not as easy as this thing should be. Sony announced that they're going to increase the production, and maybe whoever is looking for this thing may be able to get your hands on by this Christmas. Let me know in the comment if you're still looking for and if you're able to get your PS5 by now. So, if this thing is worth the hype that was created like back in 2020, everyone was like, oh, PS5 is here, or everyone was looking for it, scalpers was in the market, memes was making. So why it was so hyped, and is this thing is worth the hype? And I just want to answer with one short thing. Yes, it is, man. It's been 2 months since I got my PS5. I've been playing ever since. I played all kind of games, and the Call of Duty game that I stream, if you guys know I do stream, was on this PlayStation. Let's start with everything we have, like the auto, the design and everything. So now overall design and specs, this is like a killer machine. And why I'm saying killer machine, because this thing can run games on really good specs compared to what a console used to be, like 4K 60 120 fps, or even it says 8K on the box. We'll talk about that later on. But if you look at the design, it looks like something from the future, not like the normal consoles used to look like. All of them was same, you know, PS1, PS2, PS3, 4 was all kind of same design concept, but in this one they decided to go on a off-road, I want to say. And I just want to say I love the design. If you put this thing in a room, it will stand out for itself, saying I am PS5 in this room, because this thing is really big and you cannot just ignore this thing in the room. And because of the design, some people complain that it's too big, but for me, I don't mind it. So you can put it in both horizontal or vertical way, and the stand is also meant to be used in both ways. And if you are not using it in a standing way, there's a really clever way to hide the screw inside the stand. Really cool. So let's talk about the ports and stuff, and then we'll go jump into the gaming and stuff. So we have a USB 2.0 and a Type C in the front, and in the back we have two USB 3.2 ports, RJ45 LAN port, HDMI power input. We have 3 USB ports, so you can use one of them for something like a headphone, or if you're using a hard drive, and the remaining 2 for keyboard and mouse. You know, that's a good thing. You don't need to buy a separate USB hub for that thing. And guys, underneath this monster design, this thing pretty like holds really good specs as well. It has a custom 8-core AMD Zen 2 at 3.5 GHz clock speed processor, and also custom RDNA 2 based graphic cards, which is capable of ray tracing as well. But you don't need to pay attention at all of those things. The only thing that you will have to decide whether you want to go for a digital version or disc version. As myself, I have a digital version, and I'll explain why I have the digital one. So when it comes to the consoles, we don't have enough choice or like different kind of models for go from, other than space and like disc and digital version. In the PS4 we had plus, like normal, fat variant, slim and pro. Maybe in future we'll see a Pro PS5, but I'm not sure yet because they're still struggling with like providing the stock for this one. Alright, so let's talk about the space first of all. In the older versions we used to go for 500 or 1 terabyte. In this one we only have one option, and that is 825. I know that's a weird choice, right? Instead of 1 terabyte. But after the OS and everything, we run up, like we start with 600 some space. And if you're playing games something like Warzone and stuff, you're gonna run out of the space. So what's the solution here? You can do 2 things here. If you're playing something like a PS4 or like old gen games, you can hook up your traditional hard drive. That will work really fine. But if you are someone who's playing the next gen games, and that's I think why you bought the PS5, right? So this thing also comes with a SSD slot, and that's really easy. You just need to move the outside plates and you can access that spot. But make sure the one that you pick up is the one that they recommend, because of the certain speed of the like loading stuff. They recommend a fast SSD. I will leave a link in the description to check the sportive SSDs, and you need to pick that one. You don't need to buy the Sony authorized one. You can buy a third party as well. Alright, so let's talk about the main thing why we all are here, the gaming, right? How's the gaming gonna work on this thing? So as per the performance, the PS5 is capable of doing 4K 60 frames, and the box also says 8K, and also if your TV have HDR sportive, you can take advantage of that thing also. And it all sounds really good when you put it all together, and also we have ray tracing in the games. But I know you guys are thinking about what's the catch here, right? Why it's cost less than 500 bucks and still able to do all these kind of things, even if you have a PC over 1000 bucks, that will not able to do. So guys, the thing here is how they use the numbers is the way. It can do all these things on paper and in reality as well, but it cannot do it all together, you know. You cannot have 4K 120 frames as well as ray tracing, you know. So that's the catch here. You can either have 4K 60 performance or 4K 30 with ray tracing in games and stuff. Some games like Call of Duty and Fortnite, where you need to like have high frames for better gameplay, you can have 120, and then they start doing some picture things like giving the graphics down and stuff. So overall, even if it says everything, it's not all that you will get together. So that's the main thing when you get a console. That's how they change numbers and show how good this thing is, but they don't say it all together, you know. You cannot play something like a Spider-Man at over 60 frames with 4K and ray tracing. You need to go one step up or down depending on your choice. But is that a bad thing? I don't think so, you know, because your spending here is like $499 depending on which region you are. Like at that price, 4K 60 frames is a really good deal, you know. That's the beauty of the PlayStation, you know. It do what it is supposed to do and in the best way. So for example, if you're playing something like Spider-Man, right, the Miles Morales, you have two options. You can either go for a 4K 60 frames, which is like the performance mode. It will give you a better performance, but it will lower down the quality. You will not gonna have the ray tracing on. Or if you want to have a good looking game, go for 4K 30 with ray tracing. And if you put these two games side by side, you can see, wow, there is a difference. But overall, if you want to play in a good and have a good experience, go for 4K with ray tracing, you know. It's gonna look really good. And it's not just one game, all the games do the same kind of thing. You're playing Call of Duty, you will have 120 frames, but the visuals go down. If you're playing like Fortnite, same thing. And other games where you don't need to have the high frames because you're not playing against other players, the frames go down like 30 to 60 and the quality will go up. So it's kind of like a balanced thing, and this is good for like casual gamers or who want to have a good experience when it comes to gaming. And because of those fast SSDs, the loading time is there, but it's not that much that you can notice. If you travel between one place to another, like fast traveling Spider-Man, the loading times are instantly gone if you compare it with the PS4, and that's only achievable with the new gen SSDs. And even if you're like moving around in the menu system, that thing feels really smooth, and that's kind of like one of the touch that you need to have to feel like, yeah, you are in the next gen consoles, not like same PS4. One thing other than the console that Sony really put thoughts about on is the DualSense. And oh my god, I love this controller, man. The moment you sit down and start playing a game, you will see why this is the best controller. The haptic feedback is another level, you know. I was playing Horizon Forbidden West, that is comes with the like console. When I shoot my first arrow with this thing, and I was like, oh boy, this is what we need, right? If you have anyone in your group who have a PlayStation 5, just go and try the controller. And that is something new. As compared to Xbox, they just put the same old controller in the new gen consoles, and they didn't even put a thought about that. Even if you compare it with the Elite controller from the Xbox, the thing that they did is they give you some extra controls in the back. It will be the same buttons from here, you can assign over here, and the triggers here have an option that you can put according to your choice, and it will make it less travelly, but it's a manual thing, it will stay at that. On the other side, on the PlayStation, what it is, it done it automatically. And one more thing, like if you want to see what this thing is capable of, play the game Astro Playroom. And I'm not kidding, seriously, play that game. That game have everything that you need to know about the controller, what this thing can do. We also have the mute button here, so if you are someone who don't have a mic on the headphones, or you can use this thing, and whenever you're not in a situation you want to talk, you can just press the mute button over here rather than just going into the menu. A really good battery life. I was playing for like 7 to 8 hours. I didn't run into any problem. And we have Type-C for charging. That's good. And that was all the hardware, right? But what's in the software? So they also changed the UI. It's pretty good. Moving around feels really good. And we have both games and the media control. And I know some people, I think, still use the PlayStation for watching YouTube and Netflix, and I'm like, why not, right? You have a machine, you can use that thing. So that's there. We have library, which is like a little bit more organized. You can make folders and stuff, and that feels really good. Most of the people who's watching this video are already have one thing in mind, like whether you're going for a PlayStation or an Xbox or a PC. But if you're someone who still have no idea like which console you should go for, let's talk about some pros and cons for this thing, right? So in the pros, PS5, it can run 4K at 120 to 60 frames depending on the games. Because of the faster SSD, the loading times are almost gone. Third and the most powerful point is, I guess, with the consoles exclusive games. When it comes to games, Sony is the one of the best console, like best company I would say in the world. We have Spider-Man, God of War, Uncharted 4, Ghost of Tsushima, and many more like console exclusive games. And on the con side, I would say first thing is the Xbox have a better support when it comes to backward compatibility. PlayStation do the same thing, but it's not do as good as the Xbox. You can just put a disc from any like generation and it will run really nice. Second thing is when it comes to Xbox, the best selling thing of Xbox is the Xbox Game Pass. The starting month is like $1 if you're new, and then they have like ton loads of game. Even we have some Ubisoft game like the Assassin's Creed and also Far Cry. That's really good. On the other side, the PlayStation, instead of making a Game Pass, which will be like $10 to $15 a month, have this many games, what they did is they make something complicated. They make a tier thing. We have PlayStation normal one, extra, and premium. And that is, I remember when it was launched, people were so much confused, like which one should we go for? Everything have their own pros and cons. So instead of making a normal good Game Pass, Sony decided to do something atypically weird, and that was one of the reasons why people, like some of the people didn't even buy the normal PlayStation Plus. So I guess they can do a better job there. Just make a normal $10-15 Game Pass and we have all the games inside, and then other than making extra and a premium ones that you need to spend over $20. Thirdly, in the UI, you no longer can put themes and stuff on it. That is pretty much like the way it will look forever. I know if you shift from one game to another, it will show a different like picture. That is good, but for some people, when they have a like concept in mind, they want to have a room design that way. Themes play a really good role. So you don't have that thing, but it's not a big deal. And also when it comes to consoles, the one thing always people have in their mind and they fight over is whether it's better or the PC is better. And I think this whole fight is a bit stupid. You cannot compare something which costs around $500 to something which can cost anything from 1,000 to 10,000, right? The only thing PlayStation can do is just change the SSD, right? That's it. There's nothing you can do when it comes to changing the hardware. On the PC side, you can every year put a new graphics card. That's what I do, right? Whenever a new one is there, remove the old one and buy the new one. Consoles are something like a pack deal. That's the only thing you will have, and that's you have to deal with. And when it comes to price to performance, and that's what I always talk in my channel, is that thing is like worth the price. I think the PlayStation justifies its price. You bought something under $500, you can play any game on 4K, and this thing can work more than like 5 years. And that is the craziest part. I bought my PS4 back in when the Far Cry 5 was launched, and I still have that thing, and that thing still works really fine. Although at night time when you turn it on, this thing makes a noise of getting it. But looks aside, that thing is still working, and I can still play the games like Warzone on that. But I'm not sure about my PC, whether it will do the same performance after 3 years, even though it costs like 5 times more than a PS4. So you cannot compare these two things. PlayStation stands for its own place, like, so if you are someone who have a budget of something like $500 to $1,000, and even if you have $1,000 budget, I would still recommend to go for something like a PlayStation. And why so? Because if you buy a gaming laptop under that budget, you will not able to have that much good of a performance comparing to what a PlayStation can do. And spending $500 on that thing and the remaining budget that you can have, you can put it on a better monitor or like other things, keyboard and mouse. So is this thing is worth buying in 2022? Absolutely, man. Even if you're still looking for it, keep trying, man. You will be able to get your hands on that thing, and when you play the God of War or Spider-Man, you will see that the rewards are way better. Alright guys, and I guess that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoy, and if you do, please press the like button and let me know in the comment section, did you get your PlayStation yet or no? And I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, just take care and bye bye.